All right, everybody. What's going on, everybody? Taylor May Hoops Live, and I'm checking in. Today's topic we have legends of the game. We have a very, very, very special guest today. Today we have Coach Darren Tillis, who is an assistant coach and scout for the Dallas Mavericks. Coach Tillis, man, how's it going today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, Ed.
All right, man. Hey, today, like I said, we're going to be talking about legends of the game. And today's objective and points of conversation is going to be your current position and the duties and responsibilities of that position, and also your advice for young coaches or coaches. First question, Coach Tillis, a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up in your educational and athletic journey?
Well, I grew up in South Dallas, went to Lincoln High School, went to Cleveland State University from there, and then, of course, the pros. But I'm a born and raised sunny South Dallas.
Oh, man, hey, that's good to hear, man. So you're a Dallas Asst product, huh?
Yeah, and it's good to be back home with the Mavericks. I had a career for us playing, coaching in college for 20 years, and now winding up being an assistant and now mostly doing scouting, collegiate scouting for the Mavericks. I couldn't have drew it up any better, man. I get to come back home, see the family, come to games, get paid for coming home. So ain't nothing like it.
Hey, I understand that, man. Well, hey, let me ask this. A lot of people may want to know. I know you touched on a little bit. You played collegiately at Lincoln High School, then went on to play at Cleveland State. So tell us about some of your stops for us after Cleveland State, some of your professional stops, your journey for us, career-wise.
Well, I was a first round pick with the Celtics, played with the Celtics, played with the Cavaliers, where I went to school back to Cleveland, played out at Golden State for a year. Then I went overseas and played in Italy, Spain, coached in Sweden. So I did the whole journey. So I tried to stay in it as long as they would keep paying me to do
it. Hey, we always joke about that. You always tell me that. Well, hey, let me ask this, Coach Tillis. What role did athletics play in your life growing up? How important was basketball, was playing sports?
Well, I mean, I think growing up in South Dallas, it was probably the savior grace. I think if it wasn't for the athletics, the coaches, the community, you had a grind. When I played, it was Lincoln against South Oak Cliff. It was the two rivals. It was the big thing. It was the bragging rights within the community. And, the people as a ball player respected you, kept you on the straight and narrow, going to class, the coaches. I just think the path that I took with the athletics, it could have been a sad or, a not, the way it went. The athletics, I think, made me stay on the straight and narrow, do the right thing, stay out of trouble, go to class, stay eligible. All that was associated with playing basketball. And then the discipline in life, the things that when coaches doing in high school, the early practice, the practice during the Christmas holidays, being late for something, not letting you play, a lot of things that you took for granted, it molds you for later on in your life.
Oh, man, no doubt, man. It's important that everybody's watched it. Hope some of these young coaches and these players are listening to what you just said, that how basketball brings discipline, builds character. It builds those life skills that, like you said, you probably still use some of those things, being on time and work ethic today in your career, Coach Tillis. Next question. When did you realize you wanted to be a coach? When did it kind of hit you that you wanted to be a coach? Or did you always, envision yourself being a coach?
Well, no, I think as a player, I got injured in the career, even though I was able to play over 10 years, I was planning on trying to do 20. So I think until I got injured, and then as an athlete, you think you're invincible, going to play forever. But once I got injured, I started looking around, and all I knew was basketball. And then I had some business opportunity, but doing the 9-to-5 grind, I was like, wow, this is a whole different animal. And basketball came easy. I love to do it, mentor kids, getting back in it. So once John Shoemake brought me in, back then they called it a restrictive earning position in Dallas. I was back at home in Dallas and knew John Shoemake, who was the head coach at SMU, talked to him about it. The funny story is I came down, had on a suit, jacket, and that. And when I walked in, John said, DT, who you trying to impress, man? Take that tie and jacket off and we can talk. So, and he gave me the opportunity. And once I did that, it went from there. But it was just like, it became natural. And to me, it feels like I've never had a real job in my life. I've always enjoyed, even though I would never tell the Mavericks that, but I would do it for free because I enjoyed doing it. But since they're going to pay me, I'm going to continue to take that salary.
Hey, understandable. And man, just funny, man. I just know, man, having the opportunity to be around SU at that time, man, being Coach Shoemate, funny guy, man. Me and him, I was just laugh. I was keeping laughing, cracking up, man, because I was telling man that he getting old, that he need to call Arthur. He said Arthur, I said arthritis. So we always used to joke about that, man. But
not only was he, but also the late Jimmy Tubbs was on that staff, who's just his greatest guy, another Dallas guy there. So it was a great learn. I was under the great tutelage of those guys there, Jimmy Tubbs, the late Jimmy Tubbs, bless his soul, and Jordan Shoemaker. Just had great people, and that kind of gave me a foundation to take it and run with it for the next 20 years in coaching.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Let me ask this. Everybody know, like I briefly stated that in the introduction, that you're the assistant coach and scout for the Mavericks. Everybody wants to know, what exactly, their positions incorporates. So what are your duties and responsibilities of this position? And what does a typical day look like, during the time, in the peak time of the season? Because I know it's different times of the season where, it's not as busy, but during the peak time, what does a normal day look like? And what are your duties and responsibilities of Coach Tillis?
Well, the first year with the Mavericks, I was the big man assistant there with the team day to day. Now I'm out on the road scouting, doing the college scouting. But the first year there with the team day to day, it's pretty much just like any high school or college practice. You had your assignment. I was coaching the big guys. We implement our offense into our drills. That's the biggest thing. On the pro level, you don't waste any time. Guys, you come in, you get your shooting, you get your treatment, you get your massage, you eat your food, you put in your work and go home. So it's not a college rigorous schedule. You got grown men, professional men. So everything we do on that level, you had to have it directed to, one, making the player better, but two, how do they implement that into the offense to have them some continued success? So everything we would do with film work, I would have to show them the different type of, moves we were working on, or shots they're going to get in a game. And then we go out and work on and then we have the regular practice. But in the NBA, everybody has a positional practice that you do either before practice and after practice every day, along with, as a coach, your regular practice that, Rick Carlisle put together every day.
Okay. Hey, that's definitely interesting. No, I didn't really know this. So you have your normal practice, but then, like you say, you have your position practice, and the key is that you want to incorporate those skills as you're teaching them into your daily offense. Okay, gotcha.
I mean, you're going to have what we're doing, and even when the season started with the 82 games, you may even have stuff that you critiquing just for that team or that player. Right. Say we're going to double pick. We're going to double Joe, we're going to say, okay, when he gets the ball on the block, we're going to double team him. Or when LeBron have it, we're going to try to keep him on the side. So now we'll work on those defensive things. A lot of times people think it's just the offense, but you'll have your defensive concepts that we're going to implement for this game. And then we'll go out there beforehand and do it. And then they'll have the practice. And then afterwards, as we're doing our shooting stuff, we'll go over that again. You're always on the NBA level, a lot of film, a lot of studies, showing guys what they're doing well as wrong as what they're doing wrong, how we can correct that. And guys on that level, the one thing about it is they're real eager to learn, because if you don't, somebody else will take your job. So if you bring to them knowledge and to help them get better, they all in. So we're in college sometime or high school, you got to convince a kid on tape, or coach, you trying to call me out in front of the team. Well, as a pro, your mistakes can cost you your livelihood. So when I'm showing you your mistakes or things you're doing well, this is what we want to continue to do. Guys are bought into it because everybody's trying to extend the longevity of their career.
Okay, so what you're basically saying is you don't have like in high school, maybe college, you don't have too many people going against the grain. for the most part, I'm pretty sure that you're probably your positional players are best friend. They pretty much cool with you because they know that you can pretty much, like you said, make or break them in a certain sense or what have you. Because I know that the coach is coming back to you, ask you about the player, ask intel, how hard he works with things like that. So I definitely got what you're saying. So you don't have to motivate NBA players too much.
100%, because and you're trying especially if you're not a starter, you're trying to get minutes and get on the floor. So your livelihood is based on playing time. So you want to buy into anything that can help you to get playing time there. So not only encouragement, but a coach want to know, hey, we've talked to him 5 times about that, DT.
Oh, okay.
Getting that. Did you go over that with him again? Or, coach may give me clips to help him. And now if you go out the next game and do the same thing, now we playing Kawhi Leonard, we doing him like we did LeBron, we keeping him on the left, with zone hedging on him, and now the kid go hard hedge. It's like, something's missing. We're not, he's not getting that. So it's a bottom line type business. We're not going to be, we don't have you on a scholarship and we recruited you and we got to know your parents and your AAU kid coach and who your girlfriend. We don't care. Here's your assignment. Here's your job. Do your job. So it's a whole different mentality on the NBA level. And the other thing is different than on the college or high school level. We usually in the gym by 8 o'clock, and we try to get them out of the building before 1 p.m. No matter what we're doing there. And then once the season and game started, usually get cut down to probably 9 a.m. in the building for the athletes. Noon, we usually have chefs there for them to eat after workout and try to get them out the building by 12. So it's a early morning, do what you got to do, get out the building, get ready for the game mentality once the season starts.
Okay. Well, hey, that's great information that everybody probably want to know, because we want to know, everybody want to know what's going on in the NBA. The day-to-day operations and how things are. And like you said, it don't seem like it's too much different. It seems like y'all pay a little bit more attention, to detail, on things than maybe a high school or college coach, because like you say, it's a lot of money involved. Next question.
And you got to get the most out of your time. You don't have time to waste time, or like you said, continue going over mistakes. You're trying to do, hey, we're professional, you're professional. Here's what we're doing, on the same page. Let's work. Let's get better. See you tonight at the game. So you have to be able to take what's offered to you and apply that to the game. Because it's not just a physical game, and guys like LeBron and other guys, they are really, really high IQ guys. And that's where sometimes guys come in and they have all this talent. You've had local guys in Dallas that me and that unbelievable talent-wise, but you got to have that basketball IQ that translate over into doing that in the game situation.
Okay. I don't know if it's going on my end up there, but I can see and I can hear you, but you kind of your lips and mouth kind of fade in and out. So I'm just gonna let you know.
It's freezing on my end, my pitch. Your end is fine, but mine it's freezing. I don't know if you can hear me correctly, but the picture.
No, that's what I said. I can hear you correctly, but it's just for it's freezing for us, the visual part. But I can hear you correctly.
Okay.
So we all good. Next question, man. Like you said, I just want to kind of touch on what you said. A lot of times I try to explain to my players that it's a lot of talented players. It's always, but what's going to separate you on the next level, like you said, being able to do your job, being a professional, being able to take information, apply that information, to the court. Little small things like you talked about earlier in the interview about being on time, working hard, things like that. Because nobody, even the organization, the coaches, or players like to be around, a knucklehead or moody type of person. You understand what I'm saying? So just being a good person, a lot of times, take you a long way.
Well, especially if you're not the star, if you're not Luka, you can get away with a little bit more, just the way it is. LeBron, Kawhi, Joel, and B. You got certain guys that you got to kind of cater to, but as you start to get down that roster, the real thing about the NBA, which guys got to realize, is it's a game of specialties. What can you specialize in, because
Okay.
we may need you. You may have averaged 25 points in college, but I need you to play defense, or I need you to
Okay.
rebound, or I need you to, make that extra pass. It can be the guys who stay around a long time who will not starve. They understand their role and they
Okay.
specialize in doing what they do, and they don't try to do things they can't do. You'll go, man, why don't he take that open shot? Well, he's not a shooter. He's smart enough to know, let me swing that ball, set a screen, get in there and rebound to play defense. So to stay around the game, unless you wanted a mega star, you're going to have to be a specialty and understand your role.
Oh man, that's a good point, man. You dropping a lot of knowledge, a lot of knowledge. Next question, Coach Tillis, a little bit more about your background. I know you said you talked about a little bit. Uh, excuse me. Tell us a little bit about some of the other spots that you coached at, during your coaching career collegiately before, you made it to the NBA. And how many years did you coach? I know me myself. I know you coached SMU and some other places. What were some of the other places that you coached at, Coach Tillis?
Well, I coached 20 years in college. So I
Okay.
started at SMU there, like I said, with John.
Okay.
Then I went to Wyoming with Larry
Okay.
Scheid, who was the assistant coach, that coached me in college, got the head job there. So went to Wyoming for 1 year, then went to Clemson for 5, then went to Tennessee State, Nashville there for 4, then went to Marshall for 3, and then with Donnie Jones, and then went to Central Florida for 6 years at Central Florida. So I went from, one end of the country to the other end as assistant coach, recruiting. I loved it. I loved the beat, getting out there, knowing people, the community, the moms, the dads. It was great for 20 years, but now I don't miss it. I enjoy what I do, scouting. I go to the game. I watch the game. I don't care who loses, who wins. I don't have to meet grandma, AAU coach, girlfriend, friend of a friend. Either we gonna pay you or we not. We gonna either draft you or we not. So it's one extreme. I went from one extreme to the other, from having to know everybody, now try to stay out the way, get me a little corner, write my notes down, and go home. So it's 100% a 360 from the coaching aspect. But I did enjoy the coaching, enjoyed with the guys, being a mentor, helping guys to get along the journey to get to the NBA or get overseas and use the connections. So that was a good thing for recruiting as an ex-player. Most kids have aspirations of getting to some level. They just don't understand, the magnitude or what it takes to get to the NBA level. And then, if I can get them somewhere making some money, saving money, doing their life right, getting ready for the real world, because even if you play in the NBA, it's a short lifespan. And I try to tell guys, and you in the recruiting world, and I know they want to get to D1 and that, but I would tell the family, I would tell the kid, part of the journey, the struggle, the fight, the workout, enjoy it, because the end comes so quick and you'll be like, wow, it goes well. You play 10 years, you're 30 years old, and now what you got to do for the next, 50 years of your life. So when I hear guys, or I talk to family and they like in a dire stress, he's not getting recruited like he should, I say, enjoy it. It'll work its way out. Keep putting in the work and enjoy it while you can, because his basketball, the athletic career is short-lived. I know we make it our whole life, but as a whole, say if it goes great, you're 30 years old. Now what you gonna do with the rest of your life?
Oh man, you dropping a lot of knowledge, man. Kids don't understand that, families don't understand that. Enjoy the process, and like you said, I feel if you put in the work and you working hard or what have you, that it'll come, But everybody can't play on every level. And I remember just talking to you throughout the number of years, knowing you that you always say it's always good to be a big fish in a small pond, and the other way around. It's always life is good when you the man. So go somewhere where they want you, not the other way around.
Well, I try to explain that to kids now when I don't have a dog in the fight for his recruiting.
Okay.
And they call me and talk to me, and I'll explain to them as a scout, you can go to Duke and average 5 and 5. You're gonna have to get a job.
Okay.
You can go to Paul Quinn and average 25 and 12, I got to come take a look at you just because of your numbers. You may not be, but I got to go, wow, this kid's averaging a double-double. Let me take a look at it. And sometimes kids will go, boy, I'm going to that bigger school, bigger school. Well, we're a bottom line business. So, to us, I don't care if you go to Paul Quinn or Duke or East Texas State or Houston Baptist or the University of Houston or SMU. We're about what, your stat lines a lot of times get us there. Now I'll come say, okay, can he play? Is he big enough? Is he athletic? Is he smart enough? But a 5-5 at, Michigan, it may not get me excited on your talent level than somebody at Central Michigan averaging 20 and 12. I'm going to take a look at him too. So we're really not caught up in that on our level about where he went to school. Boy, did he play at the highest level? We find players everywhere. John Morant went to Murray State. It's just, it doesn't matter. If you can play, you can play. So I tell guys, you're better off going where you got a longer leash. You're going to be the man. You're going to get a chance to play. You're not worried about getting over-recruited. They're running offense for you, and you put up your numbers. And then, if you can play, you can play.
Hey, perfect example, Coach Tillis. You're living testimony that, went to mid-major Cleveland State, put up great numbers. You're in the Hall of Fame, and some of your records still haven't been broken. But think about if, you had opportunities to go to SMU and some bigger schools. Think if you went there, in the offense wasn't, focused around you, or you weren't, like say, you wasn't the man. So, but hey, perfect testimony of that, of your advice.
It makes a difference. I mean, again, I had a long lease. I wasn't worried about if I had, I missed my first 5 shots, I may not play no more. They gonna stay with me, and now I can make those 5. You got other guys, they go in the game, and if they miss 2 shots, they may not play no more that night.
You're right.
So it's a big difference when you have that long leash over that short leash, because you can play through your mistakes. And I see a lot of kids who are very talented, but they're so tight. They got the pressure from the family, from the coach, and it's like the kid is wind up. He missed 1 shot, and you see he's talking to himself. And then I go see other kids and like, hey, he 0 for 5, 0 for 6, and all of a sudden the second half he makes 7 in a row. He can shoot, and they stay with him. So you got to try to understand that sometimes as you are mentoring and helping kids, sometimes, it's no fun. And I'm living proof playing with the Celtics. Okay. Watching Larry Bird and Cedric Maxwell and Robert Parrish, I'd rather go to Cleveland and play than sitting on the Celtics bench and not playing. And people go, huh, you with the Celtics? But if you're a ball player, you want to play. I didn't want to be in the NBA to watch. I wanted to be in the NBA to play. So for me, it was great being with the Celtics and winning it all, but I enjoyed being with Cleveland, a lesser team, and getting my minutes and getting on the floor.
There you go. Life is much better. Speaking of that, staying on topic of as far as players and things that nature, Coach Tillis, who are some of the great players that you recruited or coached when you were coaching on the collegiate level that are playing or played in the NBA overseas or professionally? I know a few of them, but share with us.
Well, I mean, I think we have more. When I say we, as different teams from Clemson and Central Florida, who are playing overseas. And the thing about overseas, and I tell people and kids sometimes, is even if you're a marginal player, you can go overseas, make you some money, and then come back to training camp. I have guys say, what about going to the G League and that? The G League is fine, but the G League is going to pay you about $35,000 a year. Now you can go somewhere in China, somewhere in Europe and make $250,000 or $1 million. You'll play a lot better with $1 million in the bank and then come back to training camp than going into training camp broke and saying, I'm going to try to make it. So, I highly recommend go, because you could play, and we have some guys who played 8-10 years. People go, man, whatever happened to him? Will Solomon and guys like that, they come out millionaires. And people go, man, I ain't seen him now. I say, well, you know what? He's in pretty good shape now. So I have to tell kids sometimes you'll miss home, and I did both. But, the money still spends when you get back to this side of the water. So, but some of the names like Will Solomon from Clemson, Keith Clanton from Central Florida, BJ Taylor. We got Brandon Goodwin, who was there with us at Central Florida, and then he transferred to Florida Gulf Coast, who's with the Atlanta Hawks now. And then, of course, Hassan Whiteside, who's with us at Marshall, who wound up being a max player, signed a 4-year, $198 million contract there. So, and he went from the G League overseas and then got a max contract. So I've had numerous kids, probably, I think DJ could give you a list who I coach with at that, because he used it in recruiting. I don't use it in recruiting. I see guys and go, you know, how you doing, da, da, da. He used it where we used to have a board, what you just saying, with guys' salary, showing how long they played, sure. Well, that was part of the recruiting world there, where, you know, you wanted to let family knows that we can help them get to Europe or get to the NBA. So for me now, it'll come to me and it'll be 12 more kids. But at one point, I could verbatim give you every kid on that list, where they playing, what they make, and, you know, what are they doing, because we use that for recruiting purposes.
Well, hey, I can't let you off the hook. One of the most popular players in the NBA. You had the great pleasure of recruiting and coaching Mr. Taco Fall. Mr. Fall.
Yeah. Taco was one of the nicest kids that you'll ever meet. You know, not only just, you know, as a player, he's just a nice human being. He'll take pictures, he'll meet, but the kid worked from where he came from to where he is now for just mobility, agility. He put in the work, and you know, he'll probably be a 10-year NBA player, because he's a novelty, but the kid actually has really good skills. But being 7'6", and, you know, when he comes in, but he understands how to brace that. He understands how to, you know, walk in a room and light up a room. And he'll be on a roster for the next 10 years in the NBA because of that. You know, personality. It won't just be like you talked about earlier, the basketball skills. Also, as a person, you want a kid like that around your organization.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me ask you this. In your experience as a coach, recruiter, and now NBA scout, what are some things you look for when evaluating a player or a prospective prospect? And it's a two-part question, Coach Tillis. And do you look for the same things, whether it was a high school or a college prospect you're looking to possibly draft? So what are those things you look for? And all those things the same, no matter whether or not you're looking at a, you know, a high school, you coach at college, looking at a high school player, JUCO player, or is the same now? We know we're going checking out these college players, or some of those things you look for are the same. And what are those some of those qualities you're looking for?
Well, you look for certain traits. We can't scout college players. We can look at prep school, junior college, and coach. We're not allowed on high school campus. They're talking about implementing a new rule where we can get back to the, you know, coming straight out of high school. But right now, we're not allowed to go to high school games. I got my daughter who's a cheerleader. I can go watch the girls' game. And I had to leave when the guys played, and all the little guys in the school know me and said, you know, you staying for our game? No, I have to leave the building when y'all play, but I really like your girl team, though, you know. We're not allowed, like I said, to do that, but some of the basic things are, you know, the size, athletic ability, agility. There are certain things or traits that we all look for, that we all notice soon as you walk in the gym. You know, when a kid's a freak of nature athlete or physical, you know, Zion Williams, you know, those things pop out at you. But after that, you start to look at basketball IQ is so important on the NBA level. You start to see his feel for the game. Do he make the right plays? You know, not just can he, you know, more than his athletic ability, do he understand what he's doing? So you try to project. Kid physically is not developed. He's a big time athlete. He's 6'10", but he's 180 or 190. On our level, we have a strength coach, we have a chef, so putting on the additional 25, 30 pounds is a non-issue if he checks those other boxes. So you're looking at a lot of stuff. And then as a scout, for me, what I'm doing right now as we get ready for the draft combine in Chicago at the end of next month, is I'm getting the intel, the background, the character, type of kid, you know, what is his party life, social life, that, because if we're going to pay you millions of dollars, if you're a little shaky now, how do you think you'll be with $1 million in your pocket?
Exactly.
So those
Exactly.
are the things that we have to, you know, do our research on before we select a kid. Sometimes I say, man, why did that kid fall in the draft? It'll have nothing to do with his athletic ability, but there's
Okay.
some other issues or red flags. But for us, the basketball thing, there are certain, you know, like I said, height, weight, jumping, you know, shooting ability. Some kids just have a gift to, you know, court vision. Unbelievable. Or some guys can just shoot the lights out, Steph Curry. So those are the things that you look at, and then you start to look at, you know, who could be a defensive stopper, you know, who could be a rebounder. Those who, you know, those are things that sometimes kids don't look at, but you know, each team's got to have that, you know, defensive player, rebounder, somebody who can facilitate. Your scores are going to be your max guys, but you got to fill out your roster with the other things, and those are the things that you try to look for, try to see in a kid. And then sometimes kids just have that great leadership ability. You know, the way he talks to people, you know, he encouraged that. Or sometimes your walking kid is a great player, but he's got the baddest attitude you ever seen. You know, he's bigger than the team. He's arrogant. He's got, you know, we pay attention to all that. I write all that down, you know, great
Okay.
talent, but, you know, you got to fit into a organization culture as well. And the last thing you want to do is bring a cancer into your culture, because it will destroy your basketball team.
And you'll be without a job.
Yeah, I'll be doing something else again. So,
Because I know y'all was speaking highly of those guys. I know Donnie Nelson, the Cuban, they'll be like, DT, man, you brought this guy, this show man.
what my thought is, again, my job not only to scout them, but get the intel. I get
Okay.
them information, and then they make the call on that.
Okay.
The worst thing can happen is we know this kid have all these issues, and then
Okay.
I didn't know that or bring that to them. And now we draft a kid, bring him to the facility, and now he goes south, you know, and we go, they'll look at me like, you know, we don't, you don't want surprises. So if we take
Okay.
him, we know he has this, and we feel, okay, we can work with that. We got the right people in place. We got a sports psychologist. We got this and that. His talent is so good enough, we're going to take the chance on it. But the one thing in this business that you can't do from my position is you can't have surprises once they get there. And all of a sudden, boom, we didn't know about that. Well, my job is to do that. You know, I'm calling people in the good with, like you, the AAU team, the high school coach, the janitor, the lady at the cafeteria, the counselor, the teacher, you know, other players. I talk to other opponents. You know, you got to do due diligence before we call a name in the draft. We have really did our homework on that kid.
Oh man, hey, all this information that you giving, man. I hope, like you say, everybody that watches, man, take heed of this, because you giving some good information to these young men and coaches, what we can do as coaches to develop these young men. A lot of things you said didn't have nothing to do with a kid's talent level or being the best player. It has to do with, sacrifice, knowing your role, playing on the team, getting along or what have you. Because like I say, it's only one, maybe two max players on the team. It's only one, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. The other guys, like you say, I watched some of these guys in college. They were the main. They were all Americans, but now they play a role. People don't realize that Patrick Beverly averaged like 35 points in high school and college and something crazy, So, but now, hey, he won't stay in the league. He plays defense. He be a pest or whatever the case may be. So, man, great information. Let me ask this, Coach Tillis, who influenced you as a coach? Where did you did you just kind of pick it up as you went, or who were some of the influences?
Well, I think it started once with my high school coach, George Rowland. Coach Rowland there, from, me being a freshman at Lincoln High School, weighing 98 pounds, taking me under his wing, giving me an extra lunch ticket to get my lunch, make sure you eat 2 lunches, and, let me be around the varsity as a freshman. You're not physically big enough to play, but I want you to travel with us and come to games and be the ball boy for the varsity. It was just a great experience. But all the stuff that he did, being punctual, and I try to tell kids that that's one of the greatest criteria or things that you could ever learn was he had, when I played, you had a paddle. If you didn't do the right thing, coaches put that paddle on you.
Yes,
And
sir.
being late for his practice, you was getting paddled. And, my thought was I never got paddled there. Being punctual, being early, it has carried over with me in a lifetime. So those are the things that I think it starts with that foundation, with you have an influence on the kids. That's why with AAU teams and kids transferring and playing on fire, it's hard. They need to get with someone, learn, get a mentor, and continue to grow. And then as I got into, my college with Ray Darren, who was a scout for the Mavericks until he was 80, and Larry Scheid, who coached for 40 years, though they played a part in my growth as a young man, getting from, like I said, South Dallas to all of a sudden becoming a college star, to becoming an NBA player, to then becoming in the coaching thing. It was bigger than basketball. They mentored me, they guided me financially, spiritually, about life. It wasn't just about that I played for them. We have a relationship that's 40 years old now. Some guys go to school, if it don't pan out, they'll never speak to their coach again in life. I talk to guys and go, hey man, how's that with you and coach? Coach, I hadn't talked to him since I left. Wow. Well, what you didn't have a relationship? It was all about me playing ball. I couldn't do anything for him. So getting with good people, that was more than basketball. I was blessed with that. And a lot of stuff that they taught, I implemented in me, and it helped me become, and what I try to do people too. And when I tell parents, try to build a relationship. I know recruiting sometimes can be crazy and phony and that, but you're going to have to trust somebody. So if my thought is, if you go, that's what you're, build that relationship. So it's not just about basketball. Call and check on his academic, check on his social life, check on, the kid, wife, kids, how all that plays a factor into molding you. So when you're making that decision, don't just let it be about they got the best gear, or my favorite color is red, or they play on Big 12 TV. You got to try to look at a bigger picture in life with that. And that's where Cleveland State sold me back on the day is, I didn't know at the time was, you just recruited me or not, but they were saying this will be a lifetime. You come here instead of going to some of those other big schools. Not only are we going to try to build a program around you, we're going to try to get you to this level and beyond basketball. And they were true to their words on that.
Oh man, that's just great. Got a couple more questions, man. Get you out here. You had you gave a lot of advice, but any more advice for any advice for young coaches or coaches who are trying to move up in the profession, maybe to the college or NBA ranks? Because everybody wants, every high school coach want to coach on the collegiate level, and most college coaches all have aspirations of coaching on the NBA level. So, do you have any advice as far as some of the things they may do, professionally, or we spoke about relationship wise, that could kind of, help them, to move up, some things they could do, some secrets, maybe, some things that you maybe did.
I think some of it is pretty simple, Ed. It's about relationships.
Okay.
There's no one, and you're living proof to know all these college coaches in that. So if they call you, they gonna want some honesty. So, it's the best thing. I remember when I was in Central Florida, call you. You had a kid at Pinkston and said, man, if I could get him at Central Florida, it would be unbelievable. And you go, hey, Coach Tillis is great, but this kid is getting recruited by Kansas, LSU, Kentucky. You can talk to him. I can set up a visit, but Coach, you kind of flying down here, bringing the head coach, wasting your time. Those kind of stuff brings value, brings respect that you didn't let me come down there, bring my head coach, think we have a chance, and then the kid go to Texas A&M. So being honest and building relationships with it, you got to network. It's all about networking. When I tell young guys, they'll get out, get to meet people, learn, but also sometimes advice that I may call you on that you may not get a benefit of that right away. And sometimes guys going, boy, I helped my kid go there, or I helped that coach there. What did he do? Sometimes do the right thing. Do what's the right thing, correct and best for the kid. It'll work itself out. So don't just do everything with what can I get in return. Okay. Sometimes just do the right thing and being honest with people, and people respect your word. That's how, you get a job. Because most jobs, if they're posted somewhere and guys call me about, hey, LSU got 2 openings, Well, he had those jobs filled a month ago, and he knows who he's going to give those jobs to. And I tell people, especially from AAU, it's about players. You know, you got to have players to win. You can be the greatest statistician, X and O guy. If I don't have players, I can't win. So connecting yourself with young players, developing, building that relationship like you was a mentor with kids at Pinkston, it goes a long way because you'll have an influence, and guys get jobs sometimes because of the influence of the players that they're with, the relationship they have, the trust the parents have in them. And a lot of times that's connected. And, you know, some people go, wow, he got it off here. Well, you're going to have to do your job when you get to that university or that college. But the hardest part is getting to that college. It's just so few jobs on the college level, and then it's even fewer on the NBA level. And what I can tell you, being my 6th year as a scout in the NBA, is we ain't giving these jobs up, guys. These ain't jobs that you go, boy, I did it for 10 years or 12 years, and the life is so good, you're going to do it as long as you can. And what that does is it's just not spots available. I got guys go, how can I be? It took me probably 6 years to get the scouting job with the Mavericks.
Okay.
I'm helping them with guys, giving them intel on guys, talking to them, going to their facility, but it was just no jobs available. They was like, hey, you've been in college, you're great guy, but nobody's leaving, and they have loyalty to their guys. So it's a very hard rank to break into. And it's hard to go from high school to college and from college to pros. But again, you're networking, knowing people, being honest with people, shooting them straight will carry over, will help you make your journey to that. And then, of course, your work ethics when you get there, you know, you're going to have to outwork people, and you're going to have to sustain that. But hopefully that's your characteristic or character and who you are by the time you get to that level.
Okay. No, hey, you most definitely telling the truth. Even like you said, when I had the opportunity to coach the collegiate level, you told me this. The guy hired me not because I was a great X and O coach and the wins I may have had when I was a high school head coach, but it's because I had access and availability to be able to get players. So, you know, at the end of the day, this was, you know, it came down to when I got down there, you know, the reality set in. You know, I'm feeling myself that I'm a very aggressive coach. He's pretty much told, hey, I'm hiring you because, you know, we covered, you know, we recruit the Dallas Fort Worth Fetch Place heavy. You coach there, you know, you coach AAU with Tony Johnson, the Mustangs, heavy. So, you know, I know he has players. We got relationship with those players. It was about players. Huh? He didn't care if I knew what a B cut layup or a downstream. He didn't care about that. He knew I could get those players.
Right. Well, he can teach you that. You know, when I got my first job with Larry Schott, I had never coached, but he knew me as a player, and he knew personality wise, and I'm gonna get out there and do, you know, run through that wall for him. It's like, I can teach you basketball, but I had played it. But then we got to the X and O's and that, and you're gonna do that, and you know, most of us can do that, and we're going to do that. But I just think sometimes I have to tell guys, there's just a format, whether you like it or not. If you're going to get on that level, you have to bring something to the organization. And that's where some guys that go, you know, I can do this. And what do that university or college want or need? And again, your network is just a key element. Being around the game, Tony Johnson, Jazz, guys like that, it pays off when you can call them again and find out what's going on, good or bad. I can get him, I can't get him. You know, spinning your wheels in this business is one of the most frustrating things could ever happen. We spend all this money, all this time, and we don't have a chance at all to get that kid. That's one of the things that would drive your head coach absolutely crazy. And as an assistant coach, you got to do the dirty work, put in the hours, stay on the phone and that. But you got to know when I got a chance to win this race or I don't have a chance to win this race. Sometimes you got to fold your hands up and go home and go work on something else. And that's why, you know, again, relationships, honesty, networking is your whole key to life. Nobody usually hires someone on the high level that they don't have some type of relationship with. Just out the blind, sending in a resume, I'm 2-time coach of the year. But if you never met The coach at North Carolina or Coach K, he ain't hiring you. You win 5 state championships. You have to go to camp, meet him, have a beer, shoot the breeze. You worked all those camps. A lot of the relationship is after the camp is over with.
Yeah.
Where we all put in a 10-hour day with the kids now, but now we go have a pizza, a beer, and we chop it up and we get to know each other, not only just as a coach and respect your work ethic, but now as a man and a person go, hey man, Coach Taylor, good guy. You know what? I can use a guy like that. But if you never get in those circles, they're not just going to let you, you're a good guy, but nobody knows you're a good guy. You have to prove to people who you are and your character and your personality and what you stand for and believe in and that. And that just comes with networking.
Yeah. Well, hey, last question, Coach Tillis. What are some things you feel players should be focusing on as far as trying to improve their game on the court that can make them a more recruitable prospect? And the second part of the question, what are some things you feel players focus on too much? So pretty much I'm gonna ask you, Coach Tillis, what are some things that you feel that players should be focusing on the court, whether it's shooting, dribbling, things of that nature? And then what are some things that you think they spend too much time working on that's not going to benefit them?
Well, I can't be working on Steph Curry 35-foot shots, half-court hook shots, the trick shots, and the other thing is, and I have to tell the college kids that, is the dunking don't impress me. I need to see you be able to finish in traffic with touch and that. I come in the gym sometime and guys will put 20 minutes in on all these fancy dunks and that. I'm going, hey man, work on your mid-range jump shot. Knowing, the highlight plays is not what we're looking for. And sometimes I know kids can do the best trick horse shots you ever seen in your life, doesn't transfer over to the game. Or the big kid can do all that dunk, but what happened when they put another body on him? And now, instead of dunking that ball, he got to make a jump hook at 6 feet. Those are the type of things that you need to work on. But the biggest thing is, I tell a kid, the coach is, what is your weakness? Work on your weakness. Always work. We all gonna work. If I'm a shooter, I love to shoot. I'm gonna go in the gym and shoot. I'll shoot till I'm 80 years old. Went from a jump shot to a set shot, but I'm still gonna get some shots up. But as a player, you need to know what you need to work on. If your ball handling, your passing, your defense, work on your weaknesses a lot more than you work on just what you do well, because sometimes what you do well come. Now, you're a big time athlete. Now let's work on your skills. Okay. You can jump out the gym. That's great. You don't need to dunk 20 times every day. Let's work on a jump hook, a finger roll, scoring in traffic, putting it on the glass with a defender on you. So I think working on your weaknesses, and as a coach sometime, with today's transfer particle and kid can leave, it's sometimes hard to coach today's kid because you got to focus on what he does so well, because you could be brutally honest with him and then he's in a transfer particle and not there with you anymore. But if he's a real player and have aspiration, I wanted to know my left hand, I got to put some time in and I got to miss some shots and know it's okay because I got a bigger plan for my development. So those are the type of things I try to tell a kid is that, know yourself, know who you are. Don't try to do things that you can't do. Stay within your wheelhouse, use your basketball IQ, do the things that you do well, work on the things in the gym, perfect them that you do, that you're weak at until you get better. And then you display them to show people, because each year I try to see from my notes, did the kid grow? Okay, I may put down he's weak going to his left. It's 2 years later and he still doesn't go to his left. So that to me is he's not watching tape, he's not getting better, and they're not coaching him to say, hey, work on this aspect of your game. So those are the things that I think for a player is to be not only just what you do well, what do you do, and I'll ask a kid, what do you need to improve on? And they'll look at me like I got 2 heads. Improve on? Yeah, what do you need to improve on? And then once I give them a couple of things, yeah, you're right. That 2 dribble, I kind of sometimes that second dribble, I don't pull it up fast. Okay, well, I get paid for this, but you got to know who you are as a player too to advance.
Oh man, that's funny. That's funny,
And
man.
again, I don't have to recruit you, Coach Taylor. I can be brutally honest with if you send me a tape on a kid and that I don't have to before I may have to say, well, he's not my level, but I tell
Oh,
you
he got
what,
a
he's
chance.
you know what? If we don't get these other two kids, boy, I tell you, we'll come. I can shoot you to the hip. He ain't got a chance in hell, Ed, because boom, 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 boom. We gonna pay you or we not. It's just that simple. You can help us or you can't.
There you go. There you go. Well, last question,
But
man.
it's reality.
Last question, man. I got a special guest for us, man. Let me get the special guest. He hot. He was shot the whole time. Let me go get him right quick.
Hello there.
We got a special
What's
guest.
going on, Landon? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you, man. One question for you before you ask me something. How you been working on your game since I left Dallas?
We couldn't because it's so rainy outside.
Okay,
I'm going outside today though.
Okay, so soon as the rain subside, what we gonna do?
Practice.
All right, my man.
Hey, today, man, is a real special day. We get to interview Coach Tillis, and today's his birthday. He's making the 11 today.
Congratulations. Happy birthday, bro.
Thank you.
All right,
well, hey. Little gift, you know that little gift you got? Put that for your birthday, man.
Well, he's ready. You got some questions ready? Go ahead. First question. Go ahead.
All right. First question for you is what inspired you to be in the NBA, or what made you want to?
Money, lifestyle, survival. I grew up in South Dallas, you know, low economic, had dreams, you know, loved to play in that. But at the end of the day, I wanted to be able to do things for my family, for my mom, for myself that I dreamed about, that I go over to Highland Park and see. And that was my inspiration, was to get out of South Dallas. I took that ball and I ran with it.
Yep. Second question is, would you want to why would you want to become a coach of the Mavericks, or what made you want
to? Just being at the highest level. For me, again, being back home with the organization, with Rick Carlisle, I knew from my playing days, Mark Cuban, great owner, Donnie Nelson, Michael Finley, it's a great organization. It's an organization that people don't leave. Once they get with the Mavericks, usually they retire with the Mavericks. And it gave me a chance to come back home, have, pride within the city, within the team, but also, I did college. I played in high school. I wanted to get back to the high level. I saw it as a player, enjoyed it immensely. And then, for me to finish my career up as a scout on the NBA level, I couldn't have drew it up any better.
Okay. One last question is, how long have you been on the Celtics, or how long have you been coaching on the Mavericks? Either one can be yours.
Well, I was on the Celtics for 1 year, then I was with Cleveland, with Golden State. This is going to my 6th season with the Mavericks. First season, I was with the team, as I told Coach Taylor earlier, as a assistant coach, big man coach there with the team every day. Now I'm out on the road recruiting. I probably didn't do it as much last year because of Corona, but normally I go to about 100 games a year around the country, watching games, scouting that. So my base is usually 100 games, and I go from the East Coast, West Coast. I'm a national scout, so I go all over, and usually I'm at 5 games a week during the college season before Corona, and we'll get back to that hopefully next season. This year, I just did the state of Florida. I think I did 80 games driving within the state, didn't even fly, but normally I'm on a plane, 6 a.m., getting to the game, getting on a plane the next day, going to another city. It's almost like an NBA player with the travel thing. I'm a guy who really likes to travel and go, so it fits right into my wheelhouse. And when I retire, all I'm gonna do is watch basketball. And now they pay me to watch basketball, so I have no gripe or beef with anyone.
Well, that's all my questions for today.
Okay, well, hey,
Appreciate that and happy birthday.
hey,
Thank you.
I'm gonna let you ask Uncle Darren. I mean, ask Coach Tillis. Ask him, say, who did we have? Who did Taylor Made Hoops have a great pleasure speaking with today? Yes.
Who did Taylor Made Hoops have a great pleasure of speaking with today?
Darren Tillis, assistant coach scout with the Dallas Mavericks.